Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Today and tomorrow, we have tried to create a space to explore how philanthropy features in our changing society. We're going to reflect and examine how to shape our responses to this context and to our anticipated futures. We'll question how to achieve the goals and the visions of what our growth and freedom looks like, and we'll connect with our existing and future partners and collaborators and supporters. And in a similar vein, Philanthropy Australia has been taking a space to reflect and to listen and to consult and to understand the present and envisage the future in order to work out our own next evolution and our strategic priorities, and the core of which has been to work out how to best serve the philanthropic community to achieve more and better philanthropy. And I'm grateful to have this short opportunity just to share with you our thinking and our resulting strategic map. And I just want to acknowledge a whole bunch of people who've helped me prepare these comments today. To all of you who over the last 18 months have given your input, your feedback, your critical advice, your comment as part of our strategic planning process, thank you. To my recent Vox Pops Brains Trust, a real motley collection of sharp minds, irreverent thinkers and deep experience, thank you. And to the Philanthropy Australia staff and council, thank you. My job is now to try and communicate what we've come up with and what we intend to do about it. It really is quite an exhilarating time to be in philanthropy in Australia. We heard from Odette really well this morning that we've got the best of our heritage, the strong foundations, the deep legacy, the deep expertise, the breadth and depth of experience, and this ever-growing track record of significant impact. But we also have the best of the present, the new players, the new models, the creative and effective partnerships, the complete fluffless innovators like Mark, the increasing diversity of approach and overall growth. And we need to put them together in order to create the best of the future. And before I talk about the future, I think it is important to reflect on past achievements, not just around Philanthropy Australia, but those of the sector more broadly. And I want us all to stop for a minute and think about the legacy that we're leaving behind in the work that we do. Because sometimes in our busyness, we forget to do that. And living in Melbourne, this is Melbourne. So for our international guests, now who was I talking to on the bus last night who hasn't been to Melbourne? Yes, thank you very much, Jason. Seriously, awesome city, you've got to come next time. So this is Melbourne, my hometown, my adopted hometown. I'm touched daily by philanthropy. When I drive past the Austin Hospital, I'm reminded of the £6,000 that Mrs. Elizabeth Austin contributed to its establishment in 1880. When my kids used to play in the Botanic Gardens children's garden, they were there thanks to the Ian Potter Foundation. And when I take my Year 12 daughter to the National Gallery, and as she's doing 2 VCE art subjects this year, we have been there a lot. We are benefiting from the legacy of the Felton bequest. Australia's Top Philanthropic Gifts, which is an anthology that was published in 2013, gives us a really clear picture of philanthropy in Australia. And you will all have similar landmarks in your lives. But it is more than just these many examples of the gifts and the innovation and the leadership from the past. And I think this is what Odette was talking about this morning as well. It's this collective cultural impact that continues to accumulate, demonstrating the power and importance of philanthropy to our modern culture. It's the humanity, the vision, the courage and the generosity of our philanthropic pioneers, which have seeded and inspired and fed the energy and the diversity and the aspiration of today's philanthropists. They're the ones that demonstrated risk-taking appetite, needed to build a society ready for the future. They showed us how, and they continue to do so. And so today we're living in a rapidly changing world. Philanthropy is the same. Yes, we are still plugging away at many of our wicked challenges. We have had failure to address some of our long-term problems. And we have new problems, often unintended consequences of policies or decisions or behaviours where we're now seeing and understanding the cost to ourselves, to our community and to the environment. And yes, we have aspirations, huge aspirations, impatient aspirations for a more just and inclusive and sustainable world. And yes, at times, well, I am anyway, we feel pretty frustrated and confounded. But we also have the opportunity of the new and the innovative. We have the democratization of giving, new models, exciting new approaches, impact investing, collective impact, social business, to name a few. We have a continually growing army of smart, informed, and engaged citizenry. And we have accumulated knowledge, evidence of best practice, tools and resources, and technology to connect. So how do we chart our way forward? What is the future that we want? Well, everyone here, social investor, philanthropist, funder, not-for-profit or for-purpose leader, educator, advisor, we're all writing the next chapter. And by being here, we've committed to sharing these views and exchanging ideas. I don't know what you had for breakfast, but Paul Madden, who's sitting over there, gave me a beautiful quote about the future, where he said, "Australians have become addicted to giving, and the taste for philanthropy has become as alluring and natural to them as the taste for toast and Vegemite." I told you they'd love it, Paul, thank you. My VoxPops Brains Trust described a philanthropic future where we invest for the long term to solve complex social problems. We work in a bipartisan way across all sectors and collaborate to address the wicked problems at scale, which was Mark's point. A future where we're well networked, where we are functionally and structurally and demographically diverse, where we celebrate that diversity, where we're impact-led and inherently collaborative, transparent, open and technologically enabled. And we take our lead on where to invest from evidence and from those with the lived experience. We embrace venture philanthropy and we have a healthy risk appetite. So, using the past, how do we connect the present to the future? Well, this conference is designed to be one step in that direction. This conference theme is deliberately ambiguous. First, as change agents, how do we better understand the future we're working to influence and create? But secondly, an opportunity to actually check that the process or the craft of philanthropy itself is robust enough and smart enough and has the right lens and the right tools to increase our chance of success. So for the next few years, we have mapped out the strategic priorities and focus that Philanthropy Australia wants to take to support you through to building this future. And we've articulated it in a strategic map. You've got a copy of it in your packs. And it's built on 5 strategic themes, and I'm just going to very quickly summarise the key points. My council will shoot me if I give you death by PowerPoint. That is a direct quote from our August council meeting. This will not be death by PowerPoint. As the peak body, Philanthropy Australia serves a community of funders, grant makers and social investors working to achieve positive social, cultural, environmental and community change by leveraging their financial assets and their influence. We give our members a collective voice and the ability to shape the future of the sector and advance philanthropy, and we will do this in 5 ways. Through leadership and advocacy, informed and prominent champion and advocate for the sector to shape and influence the ecosystem within which philanthropy can flourish and drive effective change. Through connecting and convening to enable and support effective partnerships and networks, both within philanthropy and equally importantly across sectors, bringing all the agents of social change together for collaboration and partnership. Through data and insight, promoting and facilitating openness and transparency, collecting and sharing grant data and research that informs the way we work to demonstrate the case for philanthropy both economically and socially. Through professional learning and services, which is all about building the capability of the sector through expert professional learning and engagements, and retaining and sharing the sector's knowledge and discoveries. And through a Better Giving Hub, building a community of interest, a platform using technology and open platforms to share resources, tools and information so that we can better connect and network for our shared interest and outcomes. We've got a number of new and continuing initiatives: Foundation Maps Australia, the Economic Case for Philanthropy, Philanthropy Meets Parliament, study tours, New Gen Program, funder networks, all planned for next year that will translate these themes and priorities into actions and outcomes for the philanthropic community. But to do this well, we need to evolve as a contemporary organisation, We need to build the collective, and therefore we need more flexibility and choice in how our members and stakeholders engage with us. We need a financially sustainable business model. I've lined up Mark for dinner tonight because he can help me work that out. We need a governance model that enables this. We need to build our own capacity and invest in the technologies and processes that will allow us to play our part in supporting more and better philanthropy. And we need to do that together with you. Now, just before I finish, I am going to take a little step to the side. I've talked about legacy and about change and about aspiration and about plans. But I want to tell you a story that makes it very real. So 5 weeks ago, I was in a meeting with one of our members, a family foundation with a very long track record of innovation and change. And we were talking about how the foundation was bringing together the legacy values and the intent of the founder and the new generation in terms of their priorities and their focus. And they told us about 2 current projects that they're running and funding, one in cancer research and one in the prevention of youth suicide. And in that moment, I stopped being their colleague. I stopped being a representative from their peak body, because they had just talked about 2 things that had significantly shaken my world that week, where my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given less than a year, and a young man, a beautiful young man, a friend of my daughter's, who I had drunk champagne with and played silly buggers on the dance floor at her 21st a week before he took his own life. And in that moment, I froze. They thought I was a bit strange. I froze. And I simply was a daughter and a mum. And it struck me that I was listening to a family who knew nothing of my world, but who were doing everything they could there and then to change it. And at the end of the day, that's who we all are and why we are all here and why we need the models and the frameworks and the plans and the structures and the insight. Because at the end of the day, it's about changing everybody's world that addresses that. So I started with a quote, and I'm going to end with my favourite quote from Robert F. Kennedy. Each time a man stands up for an idea or acts to improve the lot of others, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from 1,000,000 different centres of energy, daring those ripples to build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. So you are those 1,000,000 different centres of energy, well, 600 of them anyway. And what Philanthropy Australia wants and what our strategic map is designed to achieve is to work with you to build and use all those individual 1,000,000 currents of energy, the collective voice, the collective power to influence and increase the volume and impact of philanthropy. Because collectively, we are Kennedy's stronger current. So thank you for your attention. Please have a look at the map. We're around to take any questions. Mark's here for the next 2 days, and I'm sure there will be a lot of inquisition and digging into the content.